Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonker. Let's continue our discussion for mains 2023 most important topics for science and technology. In our previous sessions, we have discussed some ideas connected with information and communications technology. We discussed about artificial intelligence. We discussed about blockchain technology. Today, we'll move to another domain. We'll discuss about biotechnology. For UPSC, biotechnology has been its favorite topic. If you look at previous year question papers, you will see biotechnology based questions in many years. And what we have observed is generally there are two kinds of themes or two kinds of queries that UPSC has asked. First kind is a more generic question where they ask you about biotechnology, how it has impacted your life, how things have evolved or how things have developed connected to biotechnology in India, and certain applications, sector specific. Say, for instance, how it has impacted agriculture, how it has impacted the pharma sector, etc. There is another kind of theme where they ask for more specific application. For instance, what is stem cell therapy? How has it impacted? What is genetic modification or genetically modified crops? What is gene editing? Such questions where specific inputs are needed. So we will be discussing in a very similar setup. First, we'll talk about biotechnology in general, that is today. In this discussion, I'll give you some inputs about the evolution of biotechnology sector, what the government is doing, what are the prospects of biotechnology sector, and some of the applications in a generic way. In the subsequent discussion, we'll talk specifically about genetic engineering. Clear? That is going to be the plan of action. So without any delay, let's begin our class. But before that, I have to give you a small notice that StudyIQ's P2I batch has started from 23rd August. Just a few classes are done, but you can still join the batch. The admissions are closing from August 31st. It's already late. I would say this would be the time for you to join for UPSC 2024, because if you further delay it, then probably 2024 chance would be gone. And this is the most comprehensive batch where we will be hand-holding you through all the programs, through prelims, mains, and interview. Just visit our website, studyiq.com. You'll get all the details. Join before August 31st. I'll see you in the class. All right? Right. Let's talk about biotechnology in general. Now, I don't need to give you a definition of biotechnology. We all know biotechnology. There are two words, or there are two root words here, bio and technology. Now, bio is connected with life, and technology is using science in an applied way. That means you apply it for your applications. So what is this biotechnology? It is a science driven industry where you use science for some applied technology where living organisms and derivatives from living organisms are utilized. Now, if you ask questions of biotechnology, so can it be as simple as making curd? Absolutely yes. Making curd out of milk, that is also biotechnology, because you're using some sort of living organism to turn milk into curd. That is the simplest example. So if you look at the origin of biotechnology, it is quite old. But in recent times, we connect the idea of biotechnology with industrial scale development or industrial scale production. Today, we talk or we connect biotechnology with ideas like biotechnology based therapeutics, BT based diagnostics, gene editing, genetically modified organisms, genetically modified crops, especially for agriculture, biotechnology used for processing food, biotechnology used for remediation. So this is the connection, or this is the identification of biotechnology, I would say, from 1980s. Now, before that, we had more simpler applications, but these days we talk about new applications in terms of medicine, in terms of say environmental protection, for creating biofuels, etc. It's a broad field. It's a very broad field. Now, if we look at India, India is one of the thriving economy where biotechnology is one of the most important sectors. If you look at global level, India is one of the hubs for biotechnology based development and biotechnology based companies. India is among the top 12 destinations in the world where biotechnology based industry is thriving. And in Asia Pacific region, it is the third largest industry or the third largest contributor to biotechnology based development. In 2022, Indian biotechnology sector, it reached the value, or it crossed the turnover of about 80 billion US dollars. 80 billion. And this is great growth. This is great growth because I remember information from 2010. Now in 2010, we were somewhere around 4 to 5 billion dollars entire biotechnology industry, because I remember that during our college days, biotechnology was one of the sought out streams for people, right? There was BE biotechnology, BSc biotechnology, MSc biotechnology, so many courses people were joining. And at that time, I would say around 2010, the the sector itself was about 4 to 5 billions. And now today, after say 12 years, its growth has been amazing. Its growth, it has crossed 80 billion dollars. And even for the forecast for the future is very great. The Indian biotechnology industry, it is targeted to reach 150 billion by 2025. So in the next 3 to 4 years, it is almost going to double. In the last decade or so, it has already grown more than 10x. Still, the prospects are very bright. If you look at some of the developments that have taken place in the last 20 years, there has been a lot of government support. 9 biotechnology parks have been set up in India. More than 10x growth is seen in last decade, from 2010 to 2020, more than 10x growth. More than 70 bio incubators have been set up in our country. The expected CAGR for this sector is about 17%, and we are expecting a revenue itself of more than R&D expenditure, R&D expenditure of more than $1 billion in biotech industry. Huge. If you look at some of the companies in India, estimates put that in India, biotechnology based startup, they stand at about 5,000, more than 5,000 by 2022. And estimates are that by 2024, another 2 years, they're almost going to double. We are going to cross 10,000 startups in biotechnology. So prospects and potential is very great for biotechnology. If you look at the trajectory, as I told you, in financial year 2017, the biotechnology industry was about $44 billion, and now it has reached almost $80 billion. In 2023, it would be around 85, and by 2025, almost double, $150 billion industry, which is huge. India is one of the hubs of pharmaceutical manufacturing, and in that, biopharma also contributes largely. There are more than 665 FDA approved plants for United States of America. That means we export a lot of medicines from India to USA. Many of them are connected with biopharma as well. Apart from that, India is the largest producer. It is the biggest producer of recombinant hepatitis B vaccine. We export it, we send it to many countries of Africa. India is also the second largest producer of BT cotton in the world. Approval for BT cotton was already given in 2002, and in the last 2 decades, we have reached second number, one of the largest manufacturers of BT cotton in the world. So we are looking at great prospects for biotechnology industry. We also have great potential in terms of its applications. If you look at biotechnology, the largest share of output, it goes towards biopharmaceuticals, which is quite understandable. Whenever we talk about biotechnology, we talk about gene therapy, we talk about vaccines, we talk about different medicines. Yes, so biopharma, its share is quite high, almost 68%. Again, this can be projected as one of the issues as well, because we need to diversify its applications more and more. But no matter how much we diversify, we will have a larger share of biopharmaceuticals. It is quite true for any other country. But again, for India, we can look out for other applications as well. Largest share is of biopharmaceuticals, then bioagriculture. We know about the genetically modified crops and their industry. These days, we also talk about genetically edited crops. Recently, we discussed about genetically edited mustard. So bioagriculture sector also contributes to double digit, almost 13%. Then you have got bio industry. We can give example of different kinds of bioprocessed products in the food industry, in the chemical industry. So bio industry 12%, and bio IT services, which is slowly and steadily growing these days. We talk about different biotechnology based services like genome sequencing, DNA fingerprinting, all these things. Its services are in demand more and more. But there is one more issue, I can say. If you look at biotechnology industry and its spread in India, we can look at four major clusters or four major states where biotech industries are thriving. One of the sectors is Haryana here, then West Bengal, predominantly in and around Kolkata. But there are two states which have been pioneers in biotechnology industry, that is Maharashtra and Karnataka. In Karnataka, Bengaluru is the hub for biotechnology. Yes, there are four clusters, but we need to diversify more and more in terms of location as well. Clear? Apart from this, we have great potential because there is advantage India right now, I would say, with any sector, not just for biotechnology, but for any other sector. Why? Because of the sheer population that we have and the sheer young population that we have. India's demography is such that we have large chunk of young population. We are close to 1.4 billion, not 1.3 billion now, 1.4 billion. Almost 50% of this population is below the age of 25 or in around age of 25. Majority, almost 60, more than 60% of population is below the age of 29. So we have a young workforce, and this young workforce is continuously getting educated as well. You do understand there is a lot of emphasis on education these days. So we have huge scientific human resources where there are a lot of engineering graduates who are coming up. There are a lot of other graduates who are coming up who are interested in STEM, right? They're interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we are looking at a larger pool of workforce. Slow and steady growth is taking place. The government is also supporting. From government side, there is a specific department in Ministry of Science and Technology, that is the Department of Biotechnology, which has been helping the biotech industry. Under the aegis of DBT, 9 biotechnology plants have been supported. There have been more than 60 bio incubators which have been set up by the institution BIRAC. In this year's budget, in budget 2023-24, the allocation has been higher. It has been more than 1300 crores for Department of Biotechnology. To be precise, it is 1345 crore for biotechnology industry. Apart from that, in this year's budget, there was also an announcement that there is going to be a new initiative to encourage pharmaceutical R&D in India. This was announced in budget. We'll wait for it. Whenever the program comes up, do make a note of that. But again, for this year mains, you can use this information in your answers to add value, to give that edge to your content. Apart from that, FDI policy has been very lenient when you look at biotechnology. There is almost 100% FDI in different streams. There is 100% FDI under automatic route, for greenfield projects of pharmaceutical. Again, there are 74% permitted under automatic route for brownfield. For brownfield projects, 74. For greenfield, it is 100%. Apart from that, the prospects and the potential of biotechnology industry is quite positive because the epidemiological factors are playing a role. The patient pool, yes, we are a huge country with a big population. That means the patient pool is increasing continuously, and it is going to increase. There are more and more diseases emerging, complex diseases emerging, connected with lifestyle changes as well. So because of this, there is going to be a boost to the pharma industry, to the drug industry, and to medical devices industry as well, where biotechnology can help. So what we understood that there are some great prospects, great potential for biotechnology industry in India, and we are working towards some core competencies. As of now, if you look at Indian industry and dissect, I told you that these are the clusters. If you go to these clusters and look at what processes are running right now, we are focused more on bioprocess technology, again mostly for producing more and more bioproducts. We are talking about gene manipulation in microorganisms and animal cells. R&D is going on here. We are focused on extraction and isolation of plant animal products. We are focused on recombinant DNA technology. Now, under this, we have come up with different products and even commercialization of those products as well. The biotechnology based drugs, chemicals, reagents, biotechnology based genetically modified crops. There is also focus on studying traditional and molecular marker assisted breeding for getting higher yields, better variety. Apart from that, infrastructure wise, also we are working infrastructure in fabricating bioreactors and processing equipments, because we do need it, right? So these are some of the core competencies on which Indian companies are working as of now. If we look at the recent developments, as I told you, 100% FDI is allowed by automatic routes in the greenfield projects for pharmaceuticals. In May 2023, India and Israel have signed an agreement where they would be collaborating more and more with respect to bringing innovation in biotechnology sector. This cluster, it has to spread. You do understand there are only 4 states right now which focus on biotechnology industries, and to enhance or to spread areas of biotechnology impact. In February 2023, there was an international biotech conclave. For the first time, it was held in northeastern region. Serum Institute of India, which has developed one of the COVID-19 vaccines, it announced setting up Center of Excellence in Hyderabad to tackle future pandemics, a very important steps. Apart from that, there is a lot of funding which is coming from outside now. Many people are interested towards India. They're looking towards India. They are looking to invest in India. You can give an example of Bristol Myers Squibb, which intends or which has announced almost 96 million investment in a cutting edge center, in building a cutting edge center in Telangana. So, lot of steps are coming up, a lot of developments are happening in the biotechnology sector in India. But why? Why? Because biotechnology has huge applications. It has applications in many sectors. In fact, today, if we look at our life, if I simply look around in this room also, I will find different applications connected with biotechnology, isn't it? Biotechnology is connected to therapeutics. It is helping you lead a healthy life. It is helping you in diagnostics. I'm quite sure you must have undergone, every Indian or majority of Indians must have undergone the test called as RT-PCR, right? Reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, to identify do you have COVID-19 or not, right? The applications are there in genetic engineering, in food processing, in bioinformatics, in bioremediation, waste treatment, energy production. In different streams, biotechnology based applications can be seen. Again, I have this, I would say, idiosyncrasy of adding such slides where I try to explain through a kind of a diagram. You know why I do this? Because when I tell you about mains answer rating as well, I advise the students, you can use such things when you're running out of time. Because say you have last 15 minutes and you have to attempt 3 to 4 questions, you cannot afford to write so many things. So what you can do is you can go for such kind of flow charts or algorithms where you simply mention a few things and try to explain, so that the evaluator, when they read it, they understand that you know stuff and you have written in a very innovative way. Although I would say that was innovation because of shortage of time, but still it will help you, right? Now, what are the applications? Let's look at some of the sectors. In food sector of food processing industry, biotechnology has many applications. Biotechnology is used in production of many products. As I told you, it has a very long history in preparation of bread, cheese, wine, yogurt, in fermentation, in coming up with enzymes, in increasing the enzymatic activity. Biotechnology is used. We are also looking at some of the applications of biotechnology for enhancing food preservation to improve the shelf life. We are trying to develop biosensors where I can test food contamination without even opening it. In food processing, we are also trying to work towards the genetically modified crops. Biotechnology based interventions are sought right now to enhance nutrition level in India. We are running different programs, different missions. For example, there is National Nutrition Mission under which food fortification is allowed, meaning the food that you consume, it is already fortified with different kinds of micro and macro elements that you need. How do you do it? Through biotechnology itself. We are also focused on improving the yield. As I told you, breeding, crossbreeding for improved yield, a specific kind of hormones like the bovine somatotropin hormone inducement, all these testings are going on in the food processing industry. If you look at agriculture, I can give you so many examples of agriculture. In agriculture, we have already brought genetically modified crops. We are talking about biopesticides, we are talking about biofertilizers, we are talking about biomarkers, hybrid variety seeds, high yielding variety seeds, so many examples. In fact, biotechnology, when we club it with agriculture and environment, we are looking towards developing sustainable agriculture model where we want to reduce the use of chemical fertilizers. So reduce chemical fertilizers, use more and more biofertilizers and biopesticides. According to the fertilizer control order, different biofertilizers and biopesticides, they are already allowed after extensive testing by the Department of Biotechnology. The DBT is also running Biotech Kisan program under which more than 1,60,000 farmers have been helped to adopt biotechnology based measures and improve their productivity and yields. Apart from agriculture, we are also looking at great applications in field of medicine. How? I want to first of all diagnose a diagnose a disease. Once I diagnose a disease, I have to give it treatment. So for diagnosis, I told you the classic example of polymerase chain reaction. Most of us have undergone RT-PCR test. I have also undergone RT-PCR test. They took that sample, they put a swab in the nose and the throat, and then they took it and conducted the RT-PCR. Eventually, it came out negative. Yes. Apart from that, we are also working on recombinant DNA technology and gene therapy. You must have heard about so many new kinds of treatments. In fact, we'll be discussing about these in our subsequent discussion in the next class, where we'll talk about genetic engineering, gene therapy for treatment. Then we are working towards some positive aspects of genetically modified organisms, genetically modified say microorganisms. We have already created transgenic E. coli, which is able to produce certain chemicals, which is able to produce growth hormone for us, specific hormone production. Gene cloning is being used for creating say organs, which can reduce that organ trafficking. We are working on one of the research of genetically modified mosquitoes to reduce the incidence of diseases caused by mosquitoes, which act as vector for different microorganisms. There is already extensive testing going on stem cell therapy, that is regenerative therapy for treatment to many diseases. There is also stem cell transplantation, which is under testing now. If that is successful, we'll be able to cure or we'll be able to treat cancer very effectively. So in medicine or in the pharma sector, huge application. We are also looking at many applications with respect to environment, because biotechnology is helping us reduce pollution. As I told you, we are focusing on biopesticide, biofertilizers, meaning reduction of chemical fertilizers. We are talking about biotechnology based fuels, biodiesel, biofuels. That means we'll use less of fossil fuels. We are also talking about biomarkers. Now, these biomarkers can help us in detection of pollutants. It will help us in detection of particulate matter of less than 2.5 micrometer. We are developing biosensors or some sort of analytical devices for identification of pollutants, for identification of other chemicals which can act as those identifiers. And these biosensors are based on biological materials. Apart from that, we are working towards bioremediation. A lot of testing is going on as of now about how do we treat waste effectively. It is one of the biggest problem as of now in India, throughout the world, I can say. We are looking for better solid waste management practices, and a lot of testing is going on to use microorganisms to biodegrade stuff. And one of the areas of testing is degradation of plastic. And last year, one of the research teams, not in India though, one of the research teams, they highlighted that a kind of fungus is helpful in degrading plastic. Imagine if that happens, then it is going to be revolutionary, problematic as well as revolutionary. But let's see what happens. So bioremediation based testing is also going on throughout the world, not just in India, throughout the world. Apart from that, there is another growing field under biotechnology, that is bioinformatics. I told you there is a small contribution from bioinformatics and bioservices industry in India. What does that mean? These days, we are looking at different kinds of projects where we are trying to sequence the genome. There is India Genome Project, which is going on. Earlier, it was Indigen. More and more people are now interested with gene-based or genetics-based research. There are many applications connected with gene identification. Research is going on with respect to gene function and its prediction. There is also study going on proteomics, right, which will help us understand which gene is going to produce what kind of protein. There is also study going on dark genome, right? So previously we did not know that this area or this area of the DNA, what does it do? Does it encode any protein? We did not know. That is called dark genome. These days we are trying to identify those as well. There is also working where information is sought for designing a drug, designing a vaccine, all such things. And examples of this genome sequencing, or I can say one of the potential applications is DNA profiling, DNA fingerprinting, all these things, and its services are sought out. So this field is also quite upcoming. So we can look at applications in varied sectors. Now, till now, I've given you very good news. I've told you that the prospects of biotechnology industries are quite huge. I told you that its growth potential is very great. Its CAGR till 2025 is 17%. By 2025, it is going to reach $150 billion. It is going to become $150 billion industry. So is everything hunky-dory? No, there are many problems. There are many issues, many challenges that we go through. One of the biggest challenge is money problem, meaning there is very low investment in terms of R&D in India, and a small chunk it goes to DBT. I told you, yes, it has increased year on, when you compare year on year. This year more than 1300 crore plus allocation has been done, but that would also be less in comparison with any other country, any other developed country for that matter. Say if we compare the biotechnology based funding in India and in US, there would be no comparison. China spends huge amount of money for R&D, and this translates into our problems. For example, if I have to get a DNA fingerprinting done in India, I had only one center before, that was Hyderabad. Even now, there are very few centers in India. I remember that incident, right? The Nirbhaya case, right? In the Nirbhaya case, for the DNA fingerprint, DNA analysis, all the samples were sent again from Delhi to Hyderabad itself. If you follow that, I hope you get the problem here, that because of low investment, we do not have high quality labs. What happens? People study biotechnology in India, they get disillusioned that there are no facilities available in India, and then they go to developed countries, and we crib that there is brain drain happening in India. So if we start investing more and more in R&D, and we make biotechnology a lucrative opportunity. As of now, please try to understand that we lack these specialized workforce who are dedicated in this particular field. Right now, the entire employment market is skewed towards, I would say, ICT or information communications technology, to tell it in a very colloquial way, towards the software industry. Jobs, people know that if they learn and they get into this industry, I'll get a job. The same thing is not seen with R&D based jobs. So we need to make R&D more lucrative in India so that more and more people engage here. We should provide them facilities, make it lucrative, then people will be here. They will not go to other countries. Apart from that, there is one more issue of weak regulatory mechanism in India. Now, this is a big problem. All right, with India, yes, see, we have Ministry of Science and Technology, we have Department of Biotechnology. Then the approval body in India is Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, which comes under MOEFCC, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Look at the problems, right? We have different committees. Yes, we have some other committees which go for quick approvals, but the ultimate authority for approving genetically modified crops in India is the GEAC. There is lack of coordination among different ministries, different departments. We lack a big roadmap. We do not have a proper roadmap for biotechnology based industry. We lack biotechnology based networking. There are no standards in India. Right now, we need BT standards as well. See, BT standards have to come because it is going to impact me ultimately. It's going to impact you ultimately. It's going to impact people. There have to be crisp, clear rules, guidelines, and standards which have to be created for biotechnology industry as well. And as you know, approval process, yes, it runs through GEAC, but there is a lot of political interference. We have seen that with BT cotton before, then BT brinjal. We have seen it was approved later on because of protest, it was taken back. It has happened with GM mustard as well in 2017, and very recently in 2022, GM mustard has been approved. So approval process has been a little, I would say, a little haphazard. It's not very streamlined, and there is a lot of political interference as well. Apart from that, in general, there are two problems. One is lack of awareness in general connected with biotechnology, and this lack of awareness, it leads to public apathy. Now imagine that I am a scientist. Imagine that I'm a scientist. I have spent a major portion of my life, say 10 to 15 years of my life, in developing a genetically modified crop. I have tested it, and I think that it is revolutionary. It is going to help India achieve that food security. And we publish papers, we do all the things. And when we try to bring that in the market, people are not ready to accept it. Why? Because there is an adverse public opinion towards GM crops, or say in general biotechnology based products, especially the edible products. We have seen that with BT brinjal as well as GM mustard. So what we need to do is we need to create awareness, we need to bring people on board, and that is why I told you there is an issue with creating a roadmap. What we need is a perspective roadmap for the biotechnology based industry. Apart from that, we are having these IPR challenges from again many countries. uh, I always tell you that we have a lot of traditional knowledge, traditional medicine knowledge in India, which is connected with biotechnology. Based on that, we can create a drug, we can create some medicine. But we also face IPR challenges. Although things have improved in last decade or so, Indian government is helping the startups with patent application, uh, patent approval, all these things. The government is helping, but still we face a lot of challenges from, I would say, developed countries. So these are some of the issues that we are facing as of now. So a clear cut path, a clear cut roadmap is needed for biotechnology industry going forward, which will give a great clarity when we move ahead. All right. So these challenges have to be resolved. All right. Now I always end the discussion with challenges. Many people ask me, sir, so what can be done? Can something be done? Resolve these issues. That's the conclusion of your answer, isn't it? Right? All right. So that's the end of today's discussion of biotechnology. As I told you, this was the initial snippet or initial part where we discussed about the prospects and the potential of biotechnology industries, its applications in different sectors, and the challenges that we face. With your for your concluding part, or for how to end this, is ensure that we resolve those issues. All right. That's the basic idea for concluding remarks. All right. Right. Thank you for watching this video. And if you have liked this video, you can always follow me on this ID at the rate Rahul Sai 222. And we'll meet again in the next session when we talk about genetic engineering. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.